Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Warrior Report here on HBC TV 25. I'm Justin Barrientos. Thank you for joining us. We are brought to you by Russell & Associates and coming to you from the 111 Riverfront Building, the Latch Development Center in downtown Winona. Time for our first basketball show of the season. Head coach Todd Eisner from the men's basketball team joins us. Thanks for being here again today.
Great to be here, Justin.
All right, let's talk first about the game that didn't count, which I think a lot of your players wish did count, and that was against St. Mary's. Connor Dillon had 29 points. He was crazy from three-point range. The team looked like they were all on the same page. I think you had to be happy with what you saw against St. Mary's.
You know, it was a good start. It was good to play against somebody else, you know, with the lights officially on. And we had two scrimmages prior to that. And, you know, our guys get tired of practicing, you know, at that time of the year. And so I think they were excited to play. And, you know, St. Mary's did a nice job about the first 15 minutes of the first half. And I thought our guys did a nice job of adjusting to kind of the flow of the game. And last 5 minutes of the first half and the second half, we played very well, and it was good to see our guys kind of make some strides in a positive direction heading into the regular season. All
right, let's talk a little bit about what you saw in that game, and then we'll kind of move on to where you went out to Kansas City. It seemed like there was more of a post presence, and that's one of the things we've talked about for several years that you wanted to have, and I think you might have that now and have been able to establish that.
You know, Connor Drew's got a really good post game. He's a little undersized at the 5, but he's got a very good right-hand jump hook, and he knows how to get to that right-hand jump hook. And I do think we need to throw the ball to him there. And then we've added Brock Voigt from a grad transfer from Wisconsin-Eau Claire, and that's where he makes his money. I mean, he's even a little smaller than Connor in terms of height, but he's really explosive. He's really long, and he had a really good inside presence at Eau Claire. He averaged over 3 offensive rebounds a game, so I think he's going to help us on the glass. And he can play the 4 or the 5 for us. He's not really the typical 4 that we have in our system, but through some injuries, he's going to need to play there for us. But he's also going to give us a really good presence, which he did even in Kansas City this opening weekend. So I think we've got 2 options there that'll be good for us, and we got to continue to make that a priority, at least you know, certainly on days when shots aren't going down from the perimeter.
Yeah, and a younger player in Tyler Orr, I believe, who played some minutes against St. Mary's.
Tyson Cobb. Tyson Cobb.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Tyson's going to redshirt.
Okay.
And so Tyson's he's got a lot of unique ability. Justin, you would know the comparison, and I wouldn't want to put this pressure on him. But just athletically and length and the way he runs, he reminds me of a Parker Fox type player. He can really, really jump. He's a guy that dunks everything. I think you saw him block a couple shots in the game against St. Mary's. We've got to put 10 or 15 pounds on him to start. But when we recruited him, it was part of the recruiting process that we were going to redshirt him this year. And this is a big development year for him because you know, next year going into the 24-25 season, Connor and Drew
right.
will be, I know that's got to be tough for you on TV sometimes. They will both be seniors, you know, and so we've got about an 18-month window to really work on his body and work on his game. And he's done a nice job so far, and I'm real excited for his future.
Yeah, Connor Drew, Drew Adams, Connor Dillon, Declan Dillon. You make it kind of tough on me.
Yeah, it hasn't been easy.
Exactly. All right, let's talk about your Kansas City trip. A couple of Arkansas teams. The first game, kind of a convincing victory, 62-46. Tell me what you saw in your team in that one. You
know, it's been interesting because I think actually even in the St. Mary's game, we haven't started out great offensively in any game, and I thought our guys did a really nice job at halftime. You know, kind of listening to just some thoughts of how we could maybe be a little better offensively. Defensively, we were good. Really all 4 halves down in Kansas City, and that's got to be our staple. I mean, we want it to always be our staple, but this is going to be a group that, you know, we're undersized again. You know, I mean, you can argue that we could have done something about it or should have done something about it, but we're undersized. But I really liked our toughness. Monticello, we did a nice job of establishing a little bit of a lead without shooting well. Then came out the second half in the first 5 minutes and shot the ball really, really well. Got it up to 20 points, got a little sloppy, got down to I think 11, and Connor Dillon hit a big 3 to go up 14, and then kind of kept it between 12 and 18, you know, in the last 6 or 7 minutes of the game. So it's a great way to start the season. Connor Dillon was really good. Connor Drew was really good. And so, like I said, it was a good way to get going on a Friday with a really good Southern Arkansas team on the plate on Saturday.
Yeah, and that's a team that made the NCAA tournament last year, and you were able to come away with the win in that one, 68-62. How did your team play in that one?
You know, similar offensive performance. We shot, I think, in the low 40% area in the first half, and they're really long. They're really athletic. We had a hard time scoring at the rim. They blocked a few shots, bothered a few shots on some drives that we anticipated scoring. Kind of came out of nowhere and took opportunities away from us. And they did a nice job offensively of causing some matchups that were tough for us. And so they were up 2 at the half. We came out to start the second half and was kind of a trading possessions type of situation. And all of a sudden we got going a little bit, went up 7. Lost all that momentum, let them come back into it, and then really did a nice job the last 5 or 6 minutes of the game, and on both ends of the floor. Really had some big stops, and then came down and converted. And then Declan made 4 big free throws late in the game to keep it at a 2-possession game, and handled the ball better, handled their pressure better, didn't turn it over as much. And shot the ball really, really well from both from inside the arc and outside the arc in the second half to get a really good road win against a team that was in the tournament last year.
All right, let's talk about the makeup of this roster, because we see some familiar faces, at least we did against St. Mary's and in the box score from these 2 games in Arkansas, but you brought in some different players, and from what I understand, there's been some injuries early on that those players haven't been able to contribute. Tell us overall what this roster looks like this year.
Yeah, it's been a challenge. So we've got the biggest roster that we've had since I've been here. We've got 18 guys on the roster, and I mentioned Tyson Kyle's going to redshirt. We anticipated redshirting a couple other guys and wanted to let that kind of play out as the fall went on. And then we get to October 6th, which is our first official day of practice this year, which is a change at the Division II level. And we had, I think it was 13 the first day, or 12. And we lost 3 guys to injury the first practice. In practices 2 through 7 or 8, both Dev and Cole had to practice because we only had 8 guys. We had 10 guys sitting out of practice. So it was really hard for the first, basically 2 weeks of practice, trying to get any type of continuity and get more things inputted that we didn't do in the fall. And so that's been a challenge. And, sometimes you get some injuries and they're not, when I say important injuries, they're all important, but maybe a guy was projected to start and now he's injured. That's a significant injury. Maybe somebody, that wasn't maybe projected to play a lot, gets injured and misses a day or 2, and you don't really see the impact of that. We've had some significant injuries, so it's definitely impacted the starting rotation. It's impacted guys coming off the bench right now, and we're not quite sure when we're going to get these guys back, if we're going to get one for sure back at all. And then with the Lumide, we hope we do get him back, and that's still up in the air. So we got a lot of things going on. We did get a couple of guys back that sat out the 2 scrimmages in Devon Fielding and Gavin Hurley, and so that helped us on the perimeter. And Brock Voigt had missed some time early in the practice season. He is back. But we've got Illumide still out. We've got Bryant Brown still out. We've got Arias Alajusis out. He's the one that I'm a little concerned we may not get back. And then Illumide in particular, we got to hope we get back, just because it's a position that we really need the depth at.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about Illumide Adiladun because it looked like he was in a walking boot, and so I didn't want to speculate on what that injury was against St. Mary's. But what did you envision his role to be?
Yeah, he's a very talented young man. I mean, obviously we brought him in here to be an immediate contributor and impact player for us. When he was healthy this fall, you certainly can see the talent. Obviously getting adjusted to our system is always a challenge, but he's a very intelligent young man and works extremely hard. And so I fully anticipated, and if he is healthy and cleared to play, I anticipate he will be a significant contributor for us. And you never assume or never give anybody anything. We expected him to start for us and play a lot of minutes. And like I said, with Luke being gone, and we made a change on our roster at the end of the year at that spot also. So we were definitely thin at that spot, and going into the season it was him and Carson.
Yep.
Now it's just Carson.
Yeah.
And so that's where Brock has moved over to that spot and given us some minutes there also. And we may have to play another perimeter guy there if we don't get him back. But he's got an injury that's out 6 to 8 weeks. We're hopeful that maybe by the end of this month, if he's obviously not feeling any pain, that he can get back to playing. If there is still pain after the 6 to 8 week mark, then they're looking at possibly surgery. And if he has surgery, then he's probably done for the year. So that would not be a good situation for us overall, or for him, obviously. But it's part of the game. And if we could call Monticello and Southern Arkansas up and say, can you delay the game a month? We would have probably taken him up on the offer. But we're going to play the games when they're scheduled to play and play with the guys we have. And I was really pleased with what our guys did this weekend. They fought extremely hard and defended really well all 4 halves and rebounded, even though, again, we're not a terribly big team. And we're going to have a huge challenge this Thursday with even a higher level of competition coming into McCown.
Yeah, that's going to be our first time to see you in a regular season game, University of Missouri St. Louis. What do you know about them and how do you match up? Yeah,
so they made the Elite Eight last year. And in the Elite Eight, in the quarterfinals, they lost to Nova Southeastern, who won it all and was undefeated. And actually it was a 1-possession game at the half. Coach Sunvold, I've known Coach Sunvold for a long time. He's done a great job with that program, and they did lose their best player who transferred to Nova Southeastern. Okay. So if you can't beat him, you join him.
Right.
And but he has 3 other starters back from that team. He's got a couple new pieces that they played. So the Small College Basketball Association does a preseason tournament the weekend before because it's an exempt event. And so they played down in Florida to start the year against 2 other really good teams in Cedarville out of Ohio and Bentley out of Massachusetts. They split. They went 1-1. Both games were close. They run really good actions offensively, and they really guard you. So it'll be a huge challenge for us. They've got a 6'10" guy inside that's very active and protects the rim, and a really good point guard that'll be a huge challenge for us on the perimeter.
All right, we got about 1.5 minutes left in the segment. You mentioned Dev, which is Devin Whitelow, back at Winona State as an assistant coach. He spent a year at Augustana, and now here again. What's it like to have him back on the staff?
That's been awesome. Obviously, with Coach Melvick moving on to Green Bay, and great opportunity for him. But we were fortunate enough to be able to bring two guys in to make up for the loss of Zach. And so Dev was on the top of the list as somebody that I certainly wanted to visit with, and fortunately was able to get him back here. He's been great, and Cole Rabidou's been great. And Cole played up at Wisconsin Eau Claire and had been a GA at the University of Houston the last 2 years. So got 2 young guys that, especially with the injuries, have been really good to fill in at practice. But we're putting those 2 to work, and they've done a nice job so far.
So did Cole kind of help you get Brock Voigt then?
Well, it was kind of done even before Cole got here. But when Cole was a senior, Brock would have been a freshman, I think. So they did play together for a year. Coach Melvick was actually working on the Brock situation before he left, and he's been a nice piece, but those 2 certainly do know each other.
All right, very good. Well, we're excited to see you on Thursday, and thanks for giving us some time here today.
Absolutely, Justin. Good to see you.
Good to see you, too. We're going to take a break here on the Warrior Report. We'll talk women's basketball with Coach Anna Wirtz right after this.
For over 60 years, Russell & Associates has been helping individual and business clients achieve what matters to them. Our trusted advisors have the expertise and experience to help with long-term plans for personal finance, business finance, or wealth management. Focus on what matters most. Call Russell & Associates certified public accountants and advisors today at 507-452-3100 or visit us online at russellcpafirm.com.
Meet Jenny Siseski of Edina Realty. With nearly 30 years' experience, she knows that right now is the best time to sell your home. Jenny will help you get top dollar, higher than ever before. With today's low interest rates, it's time to upgrade your home and increase its value. High demand and low inventory also make this a perfect time to list your home. Call for a free market analysis. Contact Jenny Siseski at Edina Realty today, 507-458-7038.
The Command IQ app helps me manage the Wi-Fi in every room of the house however I want. Like this room, where my wife talks to her friends in her book club every week. She's my best friend.
Time out. Have you seen the abs on the latest Bachelor? My husband used to have abs, but now he just has flabs. I don't know. Now, he says he works out, but I think...
It's not a book club meeting, it's a make fun of me meeting. Well, what happens in book club doesn't always stay in book club. So,